child standing over there.
Hey everybody, Uncle Ray here. How you doing? Welcome to the Think Tank South. And I have a radio show called Uncle Ray's Psychedelic Soul. It's on Radio Valencia in San Francisco, generally Monday mornings from about 10 to noon. And I'm an avid record collector, and I saw this gentleman doing something like this on YouTube, and it inspired me. So props out to my friend in the South who has a record store. I'll leave a link down below. But what am I here for today? Well, what did the sign say? The best records you never heard. What I thought I'd do today is take you down a trip of the music that I've found record collecting over the years and just being a total music fanatic. And the stuff that I love that maybe gets a little underplayed or doesn't get as much love as it could. And so speaking of that, we're going to start with this record now and this band called Love. Here's their first album. They're on Elektra Records. We're actually listening to their second album right now, which is called Da Capo, which is pretty cool. I'm going to talk about 3 albums today. This is their second one. And this is the crazy, track that everyone gets angry at. It's like a 19-minute free-for-all called Revelation. Very psychedelic. So, anyway, this first album, and I'm going to play you some of it right now, came out I think they recorded it in 1966. And the reason I love this record, there's a lot of range on it. In my opinion, Love lays claim to maybe the first punk rock song. And they also did a cover of a Burt Bacharach song, which Burt Bacharach found unlistenable. And then they go on to do a record after their second one called Forever Changes, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I'm going to play you a track. I'm going to play you my favorite track from the first Love album. It's very psychedelic. It's called Colored Balls Falling. Let's have a listen. So, folk rock from Los Angeles, 1966, 67. It's kind of what it sounded like. Byrds were big fans. The Doors were huge fans of Love. And in fact, the story I heard was Love recommended the Doors to Elektra. And by the time the Doors were ready to record their second album, or actually by the time Love was ready to record their second album, get it promoted, Elektra was using all their money to promote the Doors. So that first song, kind of typical, and I think I told you about these guys did what I think is the first punk rock song. It's called My Flash on You, and it's an angry thing. So that's Arthur Lee and Love from their first debut album. Don't be redundant, Uncle Ray. Their debut album, Love. And this next record I'm going to feature, I told you about Da Capo, which is their second album. This next record I'm going to feature happens to pop up on many people's greatest albums list. In fact, I was checking right here with, Rolling Stone's top 100 albums. And it is actually number 40. So if you can imagine for a second, this is what the record looks like. It's a beautiful album. It's really well produced. And I have kind of a special copy. I have the Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab original master recording. In this case, it's a double LP. It's usually a single LP, but it runs at 45. So I'm going to play you a song from this album. There's really no other band like it. And they were doing some really cool stuff. Sort of in the middle of the song, they'll, have a line or a lyric that 4 different people sing a different word. I know the Velvet Underground did a little of that too. His lyrics are amazing. The poetry is great. And this was a really cool album because they were going to use session musicians, but the guys in Love really, came prepared, and they played some really difficult and cool stuff. There's also some beautiful orchestration after it. This is my favorite song on the album. It's called The Daily Planet. Let it play for a minute so you can get into it. From Forever Changes, it's Love singing The Daily Planet. Beautiful album. And like I said, this is on a lot of critics. It's high on a lot of critics' lists, yet it's amongst records that everyone knows and loves. Right before it, I don't know if you can see this, but probably not. If you go to Billboard Top 500 Records, imagine 500 records is number 40. It's right after the Beatles, Please Please Me, and right before the Sex Pistols, Nevermind the Bollocks. It's in with some heavy hitters. Also, it's a few right before the Doors debut album. Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon is after that. So if you can imagine, the critics loved this record and this band, and I highly recommend them. Again, they're called Love. They're on Elektra. This is part of Uncle Ray's series, The Best Records That You've Never Heard. Or let's say you may have never heard. Whoa. Yes, yes, yes. All right. Right now, we're going to move on to the next artist. And these first few, I'm featuring a few of their cuts just so you can get to know them a little bit. This guy's Emmett Rhodes. He's an American. He was in a band called The Merry-Go-Round in the late 60s. Hey everybody, Uncle Ray here, introducing you to some of the best LPs you may have never heard yet. This is an artist named Emmett Rhodes. This is from his self-titled LP, Emmett Rhodes. I think it's his second record. I'm going to jump ahead really quick to another song I love. He's kind of a Paul McCartney flavored dude.
Somewhere someone special just for me. Somewhere someone special must be. Somewhere someone special just for me. Somewhere someone special must be. Somebody made for me. Somebody made for you. Somebody made for me. Somebody made for you.
All right, a little more about Emmett Rhodes. He's a solo artist. Like I said, he was in this band called The Merry-Go-Round. And I think this is his debut. And I think he got the record deal for this by borrowing a couple of reel-to-reel decks from his record label. And he set them up next to each other so he could flip the tape on one and use it as a 4-track. I read this in Tape Op. And he would like bang out a rhythm with the metronome, and then he would go play this on the piano, and then he'd play the drums, and then he'd erase the click track and go on. And so he would. I think these were done in the studio. But if you can find this one, you'll hear maybe a song or two that he did by himself in his garage, unless those were just demos. Sorry, I'm not super clear on that. But he's our second guy, Emmett Rhodes. Check him out. He's great. I think all these people are on Spotify. You can find some stuff on YouTube and so on. So, moving on to best records you've never heard. Here's a band on Brother Records. I don't have an LP by them. So, we're going to play something from this album. Yeah. Great psychedelic record. There's a couple of brothers in this band, the Fatar brothers.
See the light. See the light. See the light of my life. Light of my life is brighter day by day. The light of my life grows strong in every way. And when she's by my side, this feeling I can hide. Time or place or weather seems insignificant. To see the light, to see the light, to see the light of my life. The light of my life is like the breath of spring. The light of my life makes me want to sing. Compare her to the fire that lifts your spirit high, and see that what you see is so magnificent. To see the light, to see the light, to see the light of my life.
All right, that's The Flame. And a little background on them. They're on Brother Records, which is the Beach Boys label. Says, let's see, I think it's late 60s, early 70s. And the Fatar brothers, who also played in the Beach Boys. I know Ricky Fatar did. Ricky Fatar was featured in the Monty Python Saturday Night Live collaboration called The Ruddles, which was a sort of mockumentary about the Beatles with the band called the Ruddles. And Ricky Fatar, who was Indian, of Indian descent, I believe, Eastern Indian. Wait, did I get that right? Oh, I hope so. Anyway, from Indian. And he played George Harrison. He had no lines in the movie because he was the quiet one, you see. Yeah, so moving on. So this is one really great album. It's hard to get. It's hard to find. You can't find it on LP. It's very expensive, but it's a beautiful psychedelic record from the late 60s. I think you'll enjoy. Another LP you might not have heard yet. Now, here's a guy you've heard about, Captain Beefheart, right? I know everyone's heard of this because, again, the critics love this album right here. It's called Trout Mask Replica. And if you had listened to this record, you might never want to hear Captain Beefheart again. Now, that's too bad because though Trout Mask Replica is a really great record in its own way, it's very obtuse and irreverent and nutty and I don't know what. Some of his music is actually really beautiful and rockin', and so I wanted to show you a couple of those. This is Clear Spot.
Fast goes fast, slow goes slow.
And not the song I wanted to play.
All right, now do the low.
But they're all kind of funky in their own way. Is this the one I want to play? Yeah, I love this song. Nowadays, a woman's got to hit a man. From Captain Beefheart and Clear Spot. Has that sort of New Orleans vibe to it. And I love his voice, naturally, because I got a similar voice.
You've been looking all around for the women, but they always been right there. Nowadays a woman has to haul off and hit a man to make him know she's there. Other night a woman came up and hit me like I wasn't even there. Yeah, it dawned on me, man, that a man been doing a woman unfair. You gotta wait for your woman, let her know you're there. I knew I had to go out and tell her what you find out. The circumstances.
This is another cut from the...
Then you cannot go out. Oh, yeah.
Another rockin' cut from Clear Spot by Captain Beefheart. It's called Circumstances. Love it.
What you find out, the circumstances, then you cannot go out. Whoa, yeah. Little girl, don't you know?
Whoa, oh yeah. Hey everybody. I forget I'm not doing a radio show. I'm actually talking to the camera here. So our next guy up is somebody you may have heard of. This guy was in the movie There's Something About Mary. He sat in a tree and sang songs about what was going on. He's right here, Jonathan Richman. He lives right here in San Francisco. And this is his first band from Cohasset, Massachusetts. You might have heard this in a movie or on the radio. This is a classic song that you might have heard before, so I take it back if it's not one of the best LPs you've never heard. But this is a collection of modern lovers music, and it's really fun. And I think as he evolved as a songwriter and a singer-songwriter, he kind of mellowed out a bunch, and he mostly does shows with an acoustic guitar and one guy on a drum. And it's a very different kind of sound. It's great pop music, great songs. Poet, again, he's a poet. He studies, old French songwriters, and just he's got a lot of passion and soul that he puts into his music, and it is it just beams out of the guy. He's incredible. This is, again, when he's young and, you know, cranking out a rock tune. I have these other CDs of his. I recommend you listen to Jonathan Richman. I have 3 greatest hits, and not so much to be loved as to love. And this is called Having a Party with Jonathan Richman. Great artist. Okay, moving ahead. We're in the 70s right now. What's next? Let's see. Oh, yeah. We're going to stay in the 70s, late 70s. Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go a little out of order here. Here's a band. I don't know if they're from LA or from up here in the Bay, but it's called the Paul Collins Beat. They had to change it to Paul Collins because, you know, the English beat, but this album came out in 1979, so probably recorded a little before that. And God, I love this song. Power pop at his best. Check out the Paul Collins Beat. Don't wait up for me tonight.
Don't wait up for me tonight. No, don't wait up for me tonight. I shut the door. I feel my feet up on the ground. Walk out, walk on. Soon I'll disappear and I will be gone. I tried to say, but you would never listen. Then I will leave. You got to make it on your own anyway. Yeah, I tried, but I just can't find a way. So I'm going so far, far, far away. I won't be back no matter what you say. Don't wait up for me. Don't wait up for me tonight. Tonight.
Paul Collins Beat. One of the other great albums that you might not have heard. That thing is packed with new wave, quirky rock, you know, power pop, punk. Oh, this one. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, this one's special for me because I feel like I discovered it and then somebody out there was listening and answered my call. So, this album is by an artist you certainly know. Her name is Cher, the Queen. Cher's album 3614 Jackson Highway is her sort of Dusty in Memphis, if you will. And she got a great group of people together to record a great group of songs. And, well, we'll let the beat finish right here. Oh, or not. Okay. All right. Thanks, Cher. Where are we?
Some people think they drive me, but I know they must be crazy. They can't see that misfortune, or else they're just too lazy. Je suis la grande zombie with my yellow cheek and choice on. I ain't afraid of no tomcat, I'm gonna fill my guts with poison. I walk through the fire and I fly through the smoke. I wanna see my enemies all the end of my rope. Walking pins and needles and I see what they can do. Walk on gilded splinters with the king of the Zulu singing. Come, poison in my chalice. The pride begins to fade, and they all fear my malice. I put gree on your doorstep, so soon you'll be in the gutter. I make your heart melt like butter. I say I can make you stutter. Sing, come, gilly, gilly, come, walk on gilly splinter. Come, gilly, gilly, come, walk on gilly.
All right. Gotta wrap it up soon. Share 3614 Jackson Highway. And the great thing is there is a new repress of this. When I discovered this album, you couldn't get it for less than $100. This wonderful record label that I love called Run Out Groove has repressed it very recently on clear vinyl. Clear purple vinyl, is it? Yeah, it's nice. And they added a second disc. Woohoo! They found a whole nother sort of demo reel in mono of some other songs they tried. And this thing is chock full of songs you know. And it's Cher, so don't hesitate. Okay. All right. I'm trying to do the last of this in 2 minutes so I can get it under 30. Am I going to make it? Here's a record I love by Sean Lennon. John Lennon's and Yoko Ono's child. And this came out on the Beastie Boys label, so you know it got integrity. And I'm going to try, I mean, this album jumps all over the place as far as music goes. He does it all. I love this song. It's called Q. Listen for a second. A little Beatlesque, actually.
If you ever think too much, it's not enough to get you off. If you ever get
I guess you're getting the fact that I love me some power pop. So, speaking of which, my next selection is this great album. The regular album cover isn't even available right this second, but the name of the band is Brendan Benson, or the singer. Here he is. One Mississippi. Now, this is Sean. Very nice. And here's Brendan Benson. Coming up right now. All right? Similar tune, kind of a bouncy, poppy number. I'm Uncle Ray talking about the greatest records
drinking tea.
you never heard.
If it's good enough for me, then it's good enough for you. We can have tea for two. How do you do? But if you have to leave, then please leave. Don't let me keep you. We can have tea another day. Please come back and see me sometime.
All right, well, I didn't quite make it. I might have to cut some stuff out of here. And I was going to feature some stuff, but it'll just have to be honorable mention for right now. Brian May and Friends. Starfleet Project. Have you ever heard of that? Brian May from Queen playing the blues with Eddie Van Halen. Yeah, you never heard that one before. Look this stuff up on Spotify. See if you can't find it. I love this album. I can't believe I'm not going to play it for you, but you're going to have to listen to it for yourself. It is by Panic at the Disco. It's called Pretty Odd. This album is amazing. It's like a modern day Sgt. Pepper. And finally, on the show, the soundtrack to Sing Street, a movie I suggest you watch. It's a very fun film about a band of teenagers in Ireland in 1980 in Dublin. And so there's sort of a fictional band that is them, Sing Street. And they have some great songs that mimic the 80s. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in. I'm Uncle Ray. Listen to Uncle Ray's Psychedelic Soul. Go check out PacificSoulRecords.com, my independent record label. And email me, please. Leave me a message. Talk to me about something you liked or something you disagreed with. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Look for another one of these videos soon, okay?